Om Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini, Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Good evening everyone. Noopurlaya School of Performing Arts Trust takes immense pleasure in welcoming you all to Sangamam, our first annual heritage confluence. Noopurlaya was founded in 1988 by our beloved Guru Srimati Lalita Ganapati. She is one of the senior most disciples of Padma Bhushan Dr. Padma Subramaniam. She has many awards to her merit and numerous choreographies, both in Bharatanatyam and in traditional Indian folk dances. She has been the guiding light to many students as they travel with us in Noopurlaya in their walks of lives. We at Noopurlaya focus on holistic learning of the art, preparing the student for both performance and academic knowledge in the art form, along with opportunities and preparation for performing in stage shows. Regular theory classes, preparation for professional grade examinations also happen here. Alongside their academic degree, many students have gone on to pursue BFA, MFA, and PhD in dance, including myself. Many have accredited as grade artists by Doordarshan Kendra and recognized by scholarships from Government of India. Last year, we started a wing called Bharatiya Sanskriti, which exclusively focuses on the intersection of different aspects of Indian heritage, with not only dance, but also other scientific and cultural streams of indigenous knowledge. In this class, which I have the privilege of conducting,
I think coming from Ritika,
is it okay?
You have somebody to manage the mute, it would be better.
Okay.
Yeah, there are still some noises coming out, so
Yes.
you can mute everybody, and the host you can unmute
mute participants upon it. I think yes, I've done that. So there is mute. Perfect.
Okay, let us proceed.
Yes. Okay. Yes. There's some again. Few people have not muted. Okay, great. So in this class, which I have the privilege of conducting, we focus on imparting knowledge about basics of Indian heritage, including knowing what is heritage and different shastras, including Nati Shastra, historic practices, basics of Indian philosophy, Tamil literature, and what does it tell us about our past, some prominent people and happenings in history which did not get due limelight in our history books, rulers of our land, temple architecture, purpose and relevance of temples in the past and present, heritage conservation, etc. So we literally just touch upon, it's more like an introduction into all different aspects of heritage in this class. So 1 year has now passed and the first batch of students have successfully completed the year. So they will be continuing through the next year before they can finish the course. At this juncture, I'm also proud to share that Harini and Shweta from this batch was awarded a paid internship from the Government of India to pursue a 2-month research project on Indian knowledge systems. A new batch of students are now ready to join us this July. To celebrate this, the students have each visited a temple, learned and observed it from their point of view, and are ready to present to you their learnings and observations. To share our joy, we have with us Sri Shivashankar Babu, who is an integral part of Tamil Heritage Trust, an organization which focuses diligently on spreading heritage awareness with their countless numbers of seminars and talks from experts and site visits. Apart from his 39 plus years of experience being a techno-functional banker, he is a passionate mentor and heritage enthusiast. With qualifications like PG Diploma in Archaeology and certifications to read and understand inscriptions, He is one of the trained guides of Tamil Heritage Trust and conducts Alamar Avai, a free heritage training course exclusively for teachers, of which I was fortunate to be a part of. He conducts numerous workshops, seminars, and lectures along with heritage trips across Tamil Nadu. Very happy and honored to have you here, sir. I now request Babu sir to kindly open the gathering with his valuable address.
Thank you, Sripad. It is really a pleasure to be part of this interesting gathering. First of all, before we start, I'd like to thank Noopurlaya for taking the mantle and what we visualized, okay, and taking it to the next level and actually implementing it. For that, pronouns to you and Dr. Lalita for having this vision and then being one of the revolutionary fine arts society. And with this kind of an activity, you are trying to integrate and creating a Sangamam out of all the fine arts. Where you can find the Sangamam? Obviously in the temple, where all forms of fine arts were together. And during the 10th, 11th centuries, temples were the hub of the entire fine arts and other things. So this is a right initiative, and I thank you all for this. And I welcome all the young students who are very much interested in learning about temples and then talking about their perspective. So we are also very eager to listen to all of you. And I thank Sri Padma for taking the mantle. She was one of the bright students during the Alamaravai. She took it with a lot of it. It is not a joke. That program was a not joke. It is a little tougher than your actual training program, which you are undergoing. So we had classes, we had reverse presentations. People had to analyze, and then we had assignments, classrooms, and then they had to write a documentation, and the ability type exam was also there. So it is not a simple thing. It was around 6 months of their private life committed. In addition to their regular school time, they invested 6 months of their time to go through and understand heritage. Now, with this clarity, she is able to explain this to you so that you can understand in a way in which you will be able to observe it in a far more faster way. So that is what we thought it as Alamar Away, where we put a small seed and the teachers and the schools and community are there to expand it to wider radiance into the heritage. So I am happy to see this thing coming up after the corona, after the rains have started. I think a lot of small plants are budding out, and this is the happiest time. The spring has come. Can the forest be far away? Definitely, it's a very good moment. Sri Padma wanted a brief presentation from me, but I'd be more interested in listening to the presentations and views of the youngsters. So I am just having some 3 or 4 slides, which will briefly set the context, and then I will step back. I'm just sharing my screen. So what we are looking at today is the philosophy and aesthetics of temples, and then how this integrates the faith, the belief, and the knowledge system, and also expresses it not in very ugly form or an abstract form or something, which expresses the same concepts in a very beautiful way, using fine arts like sculptures, dances, and paintings and other things. And predominantly, when we go to temple, we see a lot of sculptures and geometry used as a poetry. Beautiful combination of shapes to come up with fantastic temples. So this is what we should be understanding when we see a temple. So when we talk about heritage and when we want to go to a temple, why do we go to a temple? From the basic perspective, basically, uh, everybody would like to worship God. That might be basic something, and then somebody would be like to be, would do yoga and create inner peace. That is the next level, and maybe somebody would like to see the beautiful festivals, the fun, the colors, lights, and enjoy the ambience, or see and attend the cultural events at the dances. And it may be also a social meeting point for meeting your friends and known people. And there is also temple is also a form of economic business where a lot of transactions happen. And interestingly, we also go there for the prasadams. Okay, nobody can deny it. The first thing you get vibhuti, and then we go into prasadam, and then you talk about this. So, but when you learn this, we see a lot of other things in temples. That is where you merge the heritage, and this is a showcase of our heritage in multiple aspects. So, what is our heritage? It is in the way in which what we have done in a successful and way over years. Okay, that is being handed over to the next generation for keeping and following. That is what the heritage is. So, temple is a good form of heritage. So, when we talk about temple, like a movie, right? When you talk about a movie, we always talk about hero. We never talk about the director. How many successful Rajini movies you can say who is the director? Nobody knows. But in many situations, the director is the prime mover where he controls, creates, visualizes, and does things. When you come to temples, the similar equivalence is the Silpis who make the Devalayas. When you are a engineer, you are certified to build dams. When you are electronics BE, you are certified to do electronic circuit and other things. When you are aeronautical engineer, here you are equipped to fly planes. But Shilpis, Vishwakarma Shilpis, it is not a simple thing. These are the people who created, visualized, and created the temples, sculptures, and other things, the sacred space. If you look at this is a sangamam of so many other skills which they need to analyze. They need to understand and be fairly to a certain extent. For example, when you are a sculpture, you need to be very good, very, very clear about the facial expressions. In a Bharatanatyam, the key factor is the facial expression. The same thing, when you look at a sculpture, you say it's not good. Or you say how beautiful the smile is. Again, with light adjustment, they are able to bring out the Mona Lisa kind of a smile or that secret smile of Shiva. All this is possible. And the measurement, some of the sculptures, we say that it's not good. Primarily, around there, it looks like a dwarf or a bloated person. The body language, how we stand, and in particular in Natyam and other things, the way you stand in position for various things is very, very critical. The kind of ornaments and dresses, you need to have an understanding. Dance mudras and karanas and other things, he needs to know to a great amount because all the messages are conveyed by the hand signals and also the way they are sitting. When we say that the particular lady is waiting for her lover, we take it out of the way she is standing or the way she is expecting, or a servant humbly doing before his God, or Garuda humbly standing before. The body language is clearly conveying what the relationship between the characters. Like structure, and also we need to know so many other aspects: structural engineering, geology for building the rock types, metallurgy in terms of tools, and then zoology to design the animal parts and other things. How a leaping lion, how it is doing like this, the paw, the sinews, and everything comes up beautifully in the sculpture. And the chemistry to come up with beautiful paintings and colors. And nowadays, Shilpis use AutoCAD also. Many of the Shilpis now they do line drawing and everything in AutoCAD and other iPad related. So, if you look at Shilpis, they had to master a lot of art to come up with this. So, what we are seeing as a end product in a temple is so much of or a sangam of so many skills. So you start analyzing this and you will say that how much of chemistry is involved, how much of Bharatanatyam skills are involved, how much of the biology and zoology. So this is how we should be. We can't be sculptures, but we can understand the beauty or how much of effort has gone into these temples and then appreciate them. That is what we should be doing, and pranams to the Shilpis who made the Devaluras. In the process, we should be able to see how the worshipping of Supreme Force started in a small way, in small sheds where a shaft of worship as a god from the early times to a very complex and fantastic grand Pragadisra kind of an linga, which is around see the size of the linga. So this is how this is progressed. So when you go into the temple, you can understand all these things, how the worship has changed over a period. And the place of worship, if you see that these are all small temples, that is possible like small temples that are there during very old times before Christ in Sanchi and other things. This is the ones, the images are from Ashoka period, which is 3rd century before Christ. And from there, it has evolved into a very complex temples. See the amount of ornamentation, size, and sculpture, how it is handled. This is what also we can explore and get a lot of insight. Similarly, sculptures, dance poses, story panels, miniatures. This mandapa, if you look at this, you have around 15-20 stories, Purana stories, and beautiful sculptures, iconography in one place. This is like a miniature museum. So once you come into sculptures, you see a lot of personification of characters, then putting a lot of variations in terms of ornamentation. Again, it is not an art, there is some amount of science behind it. This is what the iconography, which is about the, the characters of a god or an ideal, and the measurements iconometry, which is primarily talks about the ratio, the width between this and this, the width between this and the overall length. Like that, there are a lot of measurements. If you see why Nadaraja looks at the same style all over, whether it is a 2 feet Nadaraja or 10 feet Nadaraja, because there are ratios which conforms to the ratio. So wherever you look at Nataraja, the ratios are same, so they look alike. So this kind of analysis you can get to know from this. And ornamentation. This is an interesting area where you can exploration. So much of ornamentation and headgears, weapons, stances, poses. This one sculpture gives a total story of Shiva killing a elephant, but how much of information and ornamentation it is given, you can explore. Finally, if you want to see Sangamam, you can explore the temple as an Sangamam of all arts. During 10th, 11th Chola period and other, that is the period where it hit the peak. Temple is where the Vedic and literary education used to happen. This is where the medical Adharasalai and this happened, right? And this is where all the dances, performances, and Arangetram, everything used to happen. And this is the archive records. The inscriptions on the walls of the temples are actual recordings of what has happened. And the local admin, the பஞ்சாயத்துல சொம்பு தூக்கிட்டு போவாங்கல்ல, 18 பட்டி, இந்த 18 பட்டி எல்லாம் கோயில்ல மண்டபத்தில் வச்சுதான் நடக்கும். And then cultural festivals, and then the local money taxes collected used to be stored in temples. And then whenever there is a calamity, for example, there is a huge river flood and other things, normally the temple will be at a slightly higher level and in a safer place. So this is where people go and stay till the flood and other thing happens. And during the time, the food is supplied from the temple itself. This happens even now. So if you see this, when you talk about temple, temple is a Sangamam of social functions, fine arts, and the real arts on sculptures and other things. So next time when you see a temple, look at all these aspects in addition to what you usually see in a temple. That is the objective of this program, and this is what I am expecting and others are expecting, and looking forward to your views and interesting points about the temples what you have observed. I am sure that in the 1 year, after going through this kind of visualization, the way you see temples changed. So definitely, I would be able to see from the way you talk, and I give you all the encouragement to youngsters for a very casual talk. Be yourself and have a casual talk. That is what we are interested in, and looking forward to beautiful explanation and views from all of you youngsters. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Sorry,
very
I
much,
took
sir.
little longer.
No problem at all, sir. It was very insightful, and you summarized everything in a way so beautifully, articulated everything that is there in all our minds so beautifully. I'm sure the audience, the message would have reached the audience and the students, and next time when they go to a temple, they would really want to know about different aspects that, that will inculcate their inquisitiveness to learn. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, sir. So we will move on to the presentations. As sir suggested, just it's a request to all of you to keep it casual. There is just be yourself and use your own way of explaining things the way you have observed it, and we're all eager to witness that. So the first presentation would be from Ramya. Ramya, could you please share your screen? Let's check if this. So Ramya will be presenting about the Kapalishwara temple in Mylapore, Chennai. Over to you, Ramya. All the students who are presenting here are like, school going, or they've just started college. So Ramya is now in her 12th standard, despite all her academic commitments. She's taken up this, and likewise, all the students who are in this are all from 9th standard up until the first year. So they've all passed the board exams and things like that, along with their heritage education, I think, which I'm really proud about all of them for taking this effort. So over to you, Ramya, whenever you're ready.
Good evening to everyone present here. Namaste all. Today I'm going to be talking about the Kapalishwar temple. So this temple was that we see today is not the actual original temple. This is only built about 300 to 500 years ago. So where was the original temple situated? It was situated near the seashores of Mylapore, place where the Santom church is present now. So Portuguese built this church in the 16th century. They invaded Mylapore in the 1566 AD, and they have said to destroy. It has been rumored that the place was destroyed and the pillars were removed, and this church was built on the ground of that place. This is about 500 years old. So, what are the evidences for this? People have said to have witnessed all the pillars that were removed by them, and and the Pallava and Chola inscriptions that was present in the temple in those days are still present in the church, according to some sources, and some researchers have claimed to say that they can still show the place where the inscriptions were present. And destroyed pillars, as I had mentioned before, were present near the lighthouse. Broken pillars were present near the lighthouse, and many people have seen it, and it was sold off later to some other place. And a very, very important evidence for this is Tirunjana Sambandha's Tirupavai. So in the 7th century, he had sung this to bring back Poompavai to life. So what is the story of Poompavai? Poompavai was a very, very devoted Shiva. She was a Shiva devotee, and her father wanted to marry her off to Tirunjana Sambandhar. But one day when she was praying to Lord Shiva, a snake had come and bit her. So she died because of that. Her distraught father had collected her ashes and put them in a pot, collected her ashes and was there. And Tirunjana Sambandhar, who came to that place, whom he wanted to marry her off to, had come, and he explained the incident to Tirunjana Sambandhar. And shocked as he was, Tirunjana Sambandhar said that he'll bring her back to life, and started singing. That he said the Arul of Lord Shiva will bring her back to life, and he sung and brought her back to life. So if you see this picture, you'll be able to see the statues, the epigraphy. So here you can see how beautifully they have sculpted it. The pot has broken into 2 pieces to bring her back to life, showing that when he's singing, and you can see how accurate the tala is in his hand. The talam in his hand is so beautifully sculptured. His bun on his head, which I admired a lot, and his kundalam, and then and then when you see Poompavai, you can see her bangles on her hands, and you can see her sari folds. That intricate the sculpture has been, and you can see them holding the Anjali Hasta. And Tirunjana Sambandhar is still singing when she has come out of life, back to life. So the next, so this place is not the actual place where the actual temple was earlier, the original temple was. So where was this and how did this place come by? Given by the Nawab of Airport, Muhammad Ali Balalaj. So every year, even today, the Muslims come and dip their veil in the holy water of this lake. This was a burial ground of Muslims earlier, but now, but then they gave this land to the Hindus to build this temple. When Portuguese destroyed the temple, they gave this temple for them to build Kapalishwar temple and worship the Lord. By this, we can also see the unity that was present among the Muslims and the Hindus present in the earlier days. So how old was that temple? Some say, some evidences say it was the 12th century, some say that it was 7th century. Actually, even till today, we're not able to date the original temple. We are not able to say that, but we are for certain sure that it would be around earlier than the 7th century, because Tilinyana Sambandar was around the period of 6th to 7th century. But the famous geographers and the mathematician Ptolemy, who mapped out the entire world, had also come to Mylapore port city, which he describes as one of the major port cities of India at that period, had come here, and he had witnessed that this city was that old. So it might have started because all the older cities of India were situated around temples. So this city was very old. It was in the 2nd century that he had come. So this temple may be around at least 3rd or 4th century. The other evidences that we have are from the Sangam era. It was called the Vedapuri during this period. Mylapore was called the Vedapuri. And the Greece and the Roman had also come here because of the port, because Mylapore was a major port city back then. So they called it the Mylai Arp. Here I would like to mention that Mylapore today being called is actually Mylai Arp, meaning the crow of the sound of the miles that that translates to sound of the peacocks. So this place had said to be filled with peacocks earlier. Now I don't think we'll be able to see many. So this was also, Mylapore was also mentioned in the Sangam era, and also the Panchatantra that was taught to some princesses, which was actually a book. So coming to the legend, that is the Sthala Purana of this place. So according to the legend, Lord Parvati asked Shiva to explain the Aindaritha Mandaram, that is Namah Shivaya. So she pleaded Shiva, and Shiva was very happy to explain it to her. He started explaining it. And then Parvati gets distracted by a beautiful peacock that is there in that place, because Mylapore was filled with peacocks. So this beautiful peacock, she was distracted by it. And then Shiva gets upset by that and curses her to go as a peacock. You had gotten distracted by that, so you shall become a peacock. And then she pleads her, oh my God, you're sending me as a peacock. And then Shiva tells her, no, you worship me as a peacock, and I'll come back and I'll rebirth you. So then here, this is the place where Devi Parvati worshipped Shiva, and then he brought her back to her original form. So that is the Sthala Purana. There are different Sthala Puranas for this. Another sad news about this place is that they have actually lost the peacock that was there in the actual peacock that was there. They have lost it. It is replaced by a snake in the mouth of the beak of the peacock instead of a flower. Here, according to the Sthala Purana, the peacock should have a flower because she is worshipping Lord Shiva. But then it was replaced by a peacock with a snake instead. People had realized it very late. Even now, they're not able to find the statue yet, and the court case is still going on. So coming to the architecture, this is a Padal Petrasthalam, or as I already mentioned that the Tirinani Samandar had come and sung here. This is the Padal Petrasthalam. It has 4 gopurams, and the main gopuram that you can see here has 7 tires, and the main lords are Kapalishwara and Devi Karpagambal. And this was built in the Vijayanagara dynasty. This has many contradictions in other websites, but this is confirmed that it was built in the Vijayanagara dynasty, by the Vijayanagara dynasty. The original temple might have been built by the Cholas or Pandyas, but then this temple that exists today is built by the Vijayanagara dynasty. So architecture, this Vimana is the Ananda architecture, and the sanctuary is circular in shape, and the shrine, the Shiva shrine, is about 8 meters, and it has 2 Gajastamba, as you can see here. So this is the main Gajastamba that you can see here, and the other one is from Lord Muruga's shrine. This temple has a lot of shrines other than for Lord Shiva. This one that you can see here is the Galastambam for Muruga's place, as a lot of temples don't have two Galastamba. So there's contradicting that the Muruga's Galastamba might be from the original temple, which is also a rumor, and we don't have enough evidences to prove that this is from the original temple. So this has the Mylapore lake. That is the temple has a beautiful lake here, in which they conduct a lot of festivals as well. And when I was younger, I used to go and feed the fishes here, but now it's all locked up because of pollution, because of people keep polluting it too much. But now it's locked, but it's very beautiful. And here, let's talk about the parts of the Vimana. We can see that the base, the Adhisthana, and then the pada, and the Griva and the Shikara, and then the Kalasa present on the top. As you can see here, there's more pictures where you can see the Kalasa and the other parts more clearly. So now I'm going to talk about this beautiful structure of Jnana Sambandha. That's there. It's given a separate chain in the temple. So this is the one on your left is the actual thing that is present on the in the temple. As you can see, again, the kundalams in his ears, and the punal and the chain that he's wearing. He was very young, and Jnana Sambandha is said to have passed away in the age of 16, 17 years. But here also he is very young. That is why he looks like this, very short sculpture. And he has the punal, and his hands here have the thala again. And the other one, many people might confuse this with the Kalinga Nardana sculpture, but this is actually the Tirunjana Sambandha sculpture. How do we know this? Because it has a suchi in the hand, which the Kalinga Nardana statue doesn't have. Then there are the Gopuram of the main Gopuram is filled with beautiful sculptures. I would just like to take 2 minutes to describe this one alone because it's so beautiful. And here you can see Lord Shiva actually samharam of dancing on the Nilakanta. Here actually Nilakanta is he isn't very he isn't scared of Lord Shiva. He is actually happy that Lord Shiva is killing him. He's very happy to have witnessed him in his life. And here you can see Lord Muruga trying to jump to his father, and Devi Parvati holding him and watching her husband, and Nandi playing the instrument for the dance. And here you can see the Kannappa Nayanar story. You can see the blood bleeding from his eyes here. How beautiful. And you can see him wearing slippers here because he was tried, and he didn't have anything, like he didn't have rules for himself to not go into the temple without shoes or anything. He's wearing the slippers here, and he's actually placing it on the Lord and worshipping him. And the space is filled with sculpture that I hadn't noticed before in my life. I had been to this temple so many times in my life, but I hadn't noticed this earlier. Now I was able to actually identify the structures and see the beauty in them. And then there are inscriptions present inside the temple proving that it was from the 7th century, the original temple. Some of the fragments of them, as I had mentioned before, are still in the Sangamam church. We don't have enough evidence to prove that, but people say that it was there, and researchers claim for it to be there. And as you can see here, there's again sculptures on the pillars. Everywhere in this temple, there are so many beautiful sculptures, even in the pillars. So what have they tried to depict here? They have tried to depict a mini ecosystem here. In most of the temples in India, the mini ecosystem is trying to mimic it so that people know how to live there. So what and all was there in that place? Next, I would like to come to the festival celebrated in this area, in this temple. So Pumbawai, when she is brought back to life, Jnana Samadar actually sings that there are so many festivals in this place, so many things that happen here. How will it happen without you come back to life? So that is what he says, and there are a lot of festivals in this particular thing that he sings. There are 12 padigams. So I'm not going to be telling all the festivals because Mylapore celebrates a lot of festivals, but there are a lot of mentionable ones that I would like to share, especially the Aruvatti Mover, which most of you would have been to. So other festivals would be the Panguni Tiruvira, the Chariot Festival, which is very, very beautiful. So this is the Chariot Festival. That is the here they pull the chariot. The devotees pull the chariot. The Lord, along with Karpagambal, leads the chariot, and the 63 Nayanmars follow. So I'd like to end my presentation here. Thank you very much for providing this opportunity to me. And I'd like to especially thank Padmaka and ma'am for organizing this, and the chief guests for attending this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ramya. It was a great presentation. I would just like to clarify one thing for the sake of audience. The picture that when Ramya was explaining about the Vimana, the picture adjacent to it was that of a Gopuram, not Vimana. It's just a clarification in case if people mistake the Gopuram for Vimana. Okay, thank you, Ramya.
Yeah, it was an excellent presentation. Definitely, even we don't sometimes make this kind of a detailed presentations in our sessions. It went into a tangent and started with very, very advanced research on what is the source of temple. That is a really fabulous start. Like the old Rohit Sharma starting with the beautiful 6 and 4 on the initial over. Now, whoever is there suddenly stands up and says that, okay, what is happening here? Then that was the opening. That was really good class. And definitely you can refine much. Interestingly, we have few of the 9th, 10th or 12th students volunteering to support PhD. Interesting to know that last month, we conducted a very complex program of around 14 speeches on temple architecture all over India. 3 students have volunteered. They are just 9th, 12th students, and they are volunteered to do the transcript and documentation and giving it back to us. So I can definitely look forward to many more people from this group to volunteer and support, and that will be a very good learning process for you also. So that is really good and excellent start to your interest in temple. Badri, would you like to add any few points?
No, I just want to, congratulate her. Pretty good job. And what I would say is that the subject is a very vast subject. There's a lot to learn. Break it up in multiple chunks. One is, the history. If you take away the structure itself, there is a history, which you talked about in terms of who built it, whether it is Vijayanagara, it's not, but that's okay. I mean, I want you to study the history in terms of, who could have built it. That once you know the history of the period of these temples, you can figure out who it could be and who it cannot be. That's one side. The second is the architecture itself, right? So there are, there is this, is it Gopura, or Vimana, or Adhisthana, various parts of it, Griva, Shikara. The more you keep looking at it, the more you understand. It is like our house, right? Our house has different parts, and we know that inherently because we keep talking about this. We visit other houses and we compare. It's a 2-bedroom house. That's a 3-bedroom apartment, and the size of the bedroom is larger. So all that's a separate thing, right? Then the iconography, right? There are icons, and you talked about some of the images on the Gopura, right? You can clearly see that they are 20th century icons from the dress, right? So the construction may have been little earlier, but the images that you see, Pumbavai wearing modern blouse and sari, that's 20th century, right? But that's okay. Still, even in 20th century, they have done a fantastic job. So the next is to understand the iconography. How was it in the 10th century, 12th century, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th? How has it changed, right? And then the stories around it, right? So there are Sthala Puranas. So it is important to distinguish these things. Now, it's not, I'm telling you, not only for you, but also for all the others, that these are 4 separate things. And when we present the story to people, we have to sort of distinguish this. Now, a Purana will have multiple, there are multiple Puranas, each one giving a slightly different story, right? But those are things that we take on faith. And then on top of it comes your, devotion itself, which doesn't really care whether there are 2 Gopurams or 4 Gopurams. Your temple is your temple. And you are absolutely devoted to that. God in the temple doesn't really matter whether it was a 13th century temple, 15th century temple, 18th century temple, or 1st century temple. Right? You've got to really understand these things, differentiate these things, and then put them all together and present. You did a very good job. I know it's excellent. Good job. There's more to learn, which I'm sure you will continue to learn. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think I have a few hand raises, but due to the time, I would probably finish off the presentations. And if the participants can note down their query or comments, we can have an open session at the end of the presentation, just to make sure that we don't, so that the rest of the presenters also get the enough time to present. I hope that's okay with you, Badri sir and Babu sir.
Yeah, actually,
I don't even
we
want
can
to
do that.
Let
No,
them
no.
all continue.
In fact, that's what I was about to say, that Babu sir and Badri sir can give their comments at the end of the presentation, because that's something that it's valuable for the audience and also for the students as well.
Sure.
But the comments
Sure.
from or questions, in fact, comments or questions from the audience, I would request to hold just for the sake of time. I mean, absolutely no other reason.
Sure. Just to ensure that the comment or the query stays in mind, whenever you have a comment, you can put it in the chat saying that this
Yeah,
is
that
the
would be
doubt.
a yes.
Okay, we then we'll know what is the context, and then we'll be able to answer it in the end. Even if we are not able to answer it in the end, we can collate and then we can send back a detailed reply also. That is also possible.
Yes, sir. That would be a great idea. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, as and when
So
you have a question, please.
Yeah, correct.
keep
Feel free
posting
to
it.
ask questions. We are
Yes.
investing our time only for this.
Sure. Please feel free to post your comments or questions on the chat box. You can pick it up as we go, so like sir said. Okay, thank you, sir. The next would be Mitra, who is currently in her 11th standard. Mitra, can you please share your screen?
Yeah. Namaste, everyone. I took up this temple, the Noopurlaya temple, which is there on in Madambakam. So yeah, I'm quite like my blood pressure is quite high now, so please don't mind that. So it's there in Madambakam. It is a beautiful, it's a huge temple which is built during the Stone Age, or like not the Stone Age, but okay, which was built during the 956 and 973 century. It is a Shiva temple, which is located in Madambakam. It is near Madambakam is near Tambram, and it is one of the upcoming suburb. It was built during the Chola period, and the architectural and it also has some architectural contributions from Pandyas and Vijayanagara kings. It is really old, and it's about 1500 years old now. So this is the main deity, which is Dhenupurishwarar, and this is in the Santam, which is facing east, and the goddess is Dhenuka Ambal. And the Dhenupurishwarar is really small, and he also has this scar which says like the cow's foot on its head. So the deity has got his name because he gave moksha to a cow, which is Dhenu. So this is a Swayambhu Lingam. So his consort, or Dhenuka Ambal, faces south of the temple, whereas the Dhenupurishwarar faces east of the temple. Usually, all the temples, most of the temples, have the santams a square or rectangle, whereas this is an aspidal shape, or which is also called as Grajaprishta Vimana. It is also said to be as like an elephant's back, the same. I found this is not this is not this temple, but this is similar to a Gajaprishta Vimana. So there are coming to the agamas of the temple. This is the regular agama which is done in all the temples. But some important festivals celebrated in this temple are Brahmotsavam in Chittirai, which is April to May, and Pangani Uttiram. It is celebrated in a pond, which is not, which is quite away from the temple, but that pond belongs to this temple. And there is this special puja which is done during every weekends, which is on Sunday, during Rahu Kalam, which is from 4:30 to 6:30 to Sarabhishwarar. So, history of the temple. It was built during 1956 and to like 1973 century, during the region of Chola king, which is Prakata Chola II, and who is the father of Rajarada Chola I, who constructed the Brihadishwara temple, which is in Tanjavur. And Saint Arunagirinathar of 15th century had composed, who is also an author of Tirupugar, has composed a hymn on this temple dedicated to Lord Subramanya. One interesting story of this temple is like, there's this king Sagara. This legend is it's related to sage Kapila. So the king Sagara performed Ashwamedha Yajna in this temple. So the Yajna performed by the king to assert the supremacy of the neighboring kingdoms during Yajna. During the Yajna, a horse is set loose and the king's army follows it. Whenever the horse enters another kingdom, the king has to either fight or keep his kingdom to the king performing Ashwamedha Yajna. In this instance, it is said to be that King Sagara has 60,000 sons, and they all follow the horse. And as the horse just like wandered off, it entered sage Kapila's ashramam, where the sage was in a deep meditation. And in the meantime, Indra was like envious of King Sagara and was also fearful of the consequences of this Ashwamedha Yajna and tied the horse inside the ashramam. The king's sons found the horse inside the ashramam and accused the sage and wanted to take him into custody for capturing the horse. The sage got furious because he didn't do anything and he didn't want to take the blame for doing nothing. So he, in the anger, burnt all his sons, King Sagara's sons. And once the sage came to know his truth that this was not their fault and it was Indra who tied them, he performed like a parikaram. He performed a puja to Shivalingam, to his reluctant and he placed the Shivalinga in his left hand and did the puja with his right hand. So this was actually a sin. Like you shouldn't hold the Shiva with your left hand, and this was a sin. So and to add this point, you can also actually see Sage Kapila holding Shivalinga on his left hand and doing a puja on his right hand in one of the pillars in the temple. So and then so he was cursed, and he was born as a cow in Madambakam. The cow, like the cow, so she was like she was still the sage, was reborn to like just like or on the Pavatalam Pokartakaga, he was like reborn in Madambakam. So he used to like empty all his milk by performing an Abhishekam to a stone, which is a Shivalingam, in the forest. The cow herd is really upset that this cow is like losing all his milk and he's not getting any gain from this cow. And one day he just like lost his temper and started beating that cow, which was actually the sage Kapila. In spite of beating, the cow still continued to do Abhishekam. And the other day, he got like really angry and he bet him so hard that the cow couldn't like, bear the pain, and the cow started running. And while running, by mistake, a leg of the cow hit the Shivalinga's head, and that was the scar which is still now there in that temple, and the head and like it started bleeding. So looking at that, both the cow and the cow herd, like they prayed to Lord Shiva and seeking for like what they did, and they also like and Shiva appeared before them, and they like forgive them. So Shiva also blessed sage Kapila, and he was reborn, who was reborn as a cow with salvation. So the Vimana of this Santam is Gajaprishta Vimana. And this is the Kodi Maram, which is there in the temple. And I found few inscriptions in this temple, which was it was the south wall. This inscription is found on the south wall of the Santam, which was done by Kulatunga Chola III. So this says that the temple is like a gifted. Sorry, the land is gifted to the temple, and from this inscription we can understand that Madambakam was also known as Ulayuga Vandachola Chaturvedi Mangalam. It also provides some details about the subdivisions of the regions. Madambakam was located in Nedungundra Nadam, a subdivision of Puliyur Kottam allies Kolatunga Chola Palanadu, which in turn was a part of Jayamkonda Chola Mangalam. And the second inscription was located in the north wall of the Santam, and it says the records the gift of Madambakam village to the temple. And the third inscription is like it is placed on the west wall of the Santam, and it says about the records the grant provided in earlier time, that is during the rule of Kopar Singan. And there are like many more inscription in that temple, and some of this temple, to be honest, is filled with so much of sculptures. So one of the sculpture, like there were many sculptures. So one sculpture which I took to explain in detail is the Urdhva Tandavam done by Shiva. So you can see he has the Dhamaru with the snake here, and there's the fire, and here it is Patakam. So at the end, he's crushing the Mugilagan, and over here it's the Patanjali Munivar. And I just admire the way that he has this peaceful but a smile on his face, and the hair, and yeah, and this and I call now another sculpture, which is Mahishasura Martini, and a Brahma with 4 heads. And this one is one of the special sculpture, a unique sculpture found in there, which is Veena Vinayakar. The other one is Siddhi Vinayakar, and this is Arumugar, and this is Veerabhadra. And yeah, so I would like to thank Akka and Ma'am for giving this opportunity. And I was really tensed while doing this presentation because I just don't know. I felt really tensed. And yeah, thank you, Akka and Ma'am, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Mitra. Sir, please, your comments.
Yeah, I will be brief in this. Primarily, she has taken an interest in temple. Probably, Mitra, are you a resident or nearby Tenaguriswara temple?
No, sir. I live quite far away from
Quite far away. Okay.
Yeah.
So I lived in the place very near to, so I was a resident of Tavaram. I have seen this temple as a totally dilapidated and ruined temple when we were going into college. Okay. You had a beautiful story, and there are so many things available about this temple. Okay, a lot of history and other things. But like Badri sir said it, we need to align it into 4 major components. Okay, Puranas, local stuff. Puranas, this is something is our belief system, what our forefathers told us. Okay, if you believe it, you believe it, or if you don't believe it, it's a different story. Number 2, the Sthala Puranas are actually around 4 or 5 centuries old, where things have actually happened. Our forefathers have seen it, and that has been given to us over a period of 4 or 5 centuries. This is somewhat near. Then the third component is the inscription, which is a proper documentation of the temple, right? Which has been there in the inscription, say that Parandaga too had a donation for this temple. That means that during Parandaga too, even before Rajaraja, the temple was existing. This is a story. Then the fourth part is the actual visual part. What you see now and what is the current situation and what could have been there. Now we see a temple with so many buildings, but during Parandaga period, it might have been a small temple. So these are the 4 aspects which we need to highlight and beautifully do it. You did it well, but the only thing is the Purana part went in little more elaborate, which we can slowly read. This Purana part we know, and this is something which everybody knows. So here at the younger age, we should be focusing more on the exploration part. What do you see, what you infer, and what you infer from the temple components, and see how you bring out the story. Okay. The interesting story is that till 15 years ago, it was a very, very dilapidated temple. Suddenly, somebody saw that one small image which you showed first thing in the beginning, instead of showing all these beautiful images in the end. Okay, you showed one image in the beginning, right? What is that image? One specific image. Okay. This is of
Sarabhishwara. Is that Sarabhishwara?
Sarabheshwara. So that converted that into a popularity, and suddenly the outlook of the temple is changed. Now so many film stars and everybody is visiting it, and now it has become a very rich temple in the locality, and so many other small temples are building around this eco space. Okay, this is something which you actually observe. You can see that in a temple. So this is what we should be exploring when you go into the temple. Look around and what you can infer from what you are saying. Okay, the documents are there, the Puranas are there, but it is for us to read. But what you see and infer is far more critical to us. Okay, this is where your perception and the younger generation perception will make a change in the ideas. That way, the presentation content and the way you have prepared the PPT is very good, and continue on the good work.
Thank you, sir.
We can go to the next one.
Badri sir, any comments? Okay.
Just proceed to the next one.
The next will be next presentation from Samiksha, who is now in her 9th standard. So Samiksha, can you pull up your presentation, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, as sir suggested, if you can keep the legend, the Purana part short, because for considering the time, let's focus more on the aspects of the temple, other aspects of the temple, and let's keep it a very brief explanation about the legend or the Purana part, please.
Okay, Akka. Good evening to everyone. This is Samiksha doing the temple from Kamakshi temple in Kanchipuram.
Screen is not visible. Should I see a big block of?
Yeah, it's just some black things.
I think she may have a notepad or something on top. If you, yeah, now we can see. Go to the resume slideshow.
Yeah. Now is it clear?
No, not yet. It's still we are not able to see the slideshow yet, but
have you just stop the sharing?
Okay.
And share your full screen, not the application, but screen or desktop or whatever it is called.
Okay.
Yeah, share full screen maybe.
No, instead of that specific application, share your entire desktop screen. And then open the presentation.
Now we are able to see this.
Yes, still only seeing the. Now go to the full screen now.
Yeah. Let's see the slideshow. Let's start the slideshow. Maybe you can.
No.
Do you have any animations in the slideshow that it's taking?
I don't have any animations in the slideshow.
Okay.
Then show it in the previous view itself. You just.
Let's just continue. We are able to see the
Rather than
content.
going to the full screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you can start in this view itself. Go one slide by you go slide by slide, and we can. I think we will be able to see the content. No problem. We can read the content.
Okay. Okay. So good evening, everyone. This is Samiksha. I'm doing a temple, Kamakshi temple in Kanchipuram. So the first is, let's just move on to the history of the temple. Kamakshi temple in the city of 108 Divya Desam. It is in Kanchipuram. It is dedicated to goddess Parvati, called Kamakshi. It is a 14th century temple that it is one of the scared 7 places mentioned in the Puranas that can grant moksha and also known as the Kambisthana Udyana Peetham. Goddess Parvati has been installed in 8 forms of Shakti in the temple complex. Nagareshu Kanchi is an old saying about the rich past of the region. The temple was most probably built by the Pallava kings, whose capital was Kanchipuram. So, legend is, the story goes that the Kamakshi Amma prayed while standing on the 1 foot on needle point to get married to Shiva. Her wish came true and they were married in the month of Panguni in Nutra Nakshatram. There used to be an image of Kamakshi god standing in pose as she prayed, called Bangaru Kamakshi. So the special rituals, or puja they do as the regular in every temple. So they do the golden chariot to celebrate it just in the particular days. In the month of Masi, there is a yearly celebration of the sanctuary. On the 7th day of this current month, there are parades which are taken out in a silver chariot. Celebrations like Navaratri, Adi, Aipasi, Puram, Shankara Jayanti and Vasanta Utsavam in the Vaikasi has been praised with full enthusiasm. Like Shantama and Vaishnama, different sanctuaries of Tamil Nadu, the Fridays here falling in the month Adi and Tai are seen with fantastic service. Temple architecture. Kanchi Kamakshi temple complex is spread over an area about 5 acres and the city surrounds the temple. The temple complex is built with 4 entrances in 4 directions. A huge Dvajastamba greets as you step through the main entrance. Kalyani, it's a temple tank called Panchaganga with Neerari Mandap. It is also part of the temple. There are several mandaps along the temple. The Shikara, the tower, lodging the divinity, is secured completely in gold. Close to the sanctuary tank, different pictures of Lord Vishnu like Niran, Irandan and Kirandan are traceable. The sanctum houses the image of Kamakshi in seated posture, is flanked by the trinity of Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma. There are similar shrines of Bangalore Kamakshi. Adi Shankara and Mahasaraswati are on the sanctum. It is one of the Divya Desam, among the 108 Divya Desa. Inscription, there is actually the new inscriptions found. So this is the inscription is fragmentary. The name of the king is mentioned as Kanchipuragraha, the capture of Kanchipuram. He's from the Pandya race. The meaning of the inscription is that Pandya Deva, the capturer of Kanchipuram, made the shrine of Sasta, son of Ishvara, as the jewel of Kanchipur. And last is the iconography of the temple. So I just took the Kamakshi Amma. She's the main deity. She's seated in Padmasana posture, signifying peace and prosperity instead of the traditional standing poses. She holds the sugar cane sugarcane bow and bunch of 5 flowers in the lower tour of arms over here, and has a Anushka and there's a parrot in her trees near the flower bunch. There are no other goddess in temple of city Kanchipuram apart from this temple, which is unusual in a tradition city that has hundreds of traditions. So with this, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you for Akka and Ma'am giving me this opportunity and able to present in front of the whole Noopurlaya school and in front of the Babu sir and Badri sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Samiksha. Sir.
Thank you, Samiksha. So, how long you have been in the temple, Kanchipuram temple?
I've been to Kanchipuram temple once.
Once, okay. Okay. So next time you visit the nearby temple, related temple also, Ekabrat temple and the Kailasanada temple and other things, and then which is far more visit than this. Okay, and they got beautiful sculptures and other details. So now I'm seeing a trend that everybody sees from their point of view, from their eyes. Okay, somebody sees and then passionate about the local story. Somebody is passionate about the festivals, and then that's what I was highlighting. Like there are so many things to see in a temple, and everybody is absorbing from their own colored view, and then seeing green temple, blue temple, yellow temple, and varied colors. So this spectrum of colors is what makes this kind of an perspective and the presentation interesting. Very good, good attempt, and you can also add more and more details. If you visit 2 or 3 times, you will be able to add more and more story about this. The sad part is this temple is, even though very old, it has been totally renovated now and beautiful polished granite and other things. So most of the construction is only last year. They have totally renovated, they have broken down and restructured the temple like that. But it has got a long history, and this is what we should understand between the longevity of the temple and the history and the Purana. Good one, good effort. We can definitely expand on this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So shall I think I'll proceed. Next up is Nitya, who is doing her 11th now. So Nitya, please pull up your presentation.
Good evening to everyone. Namaste all. I have did my presentation about Channakesava temple.
Wow, the opening screen itself is so beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And she in fact visited that during her holidays now, specifically to for this. I think summer holidays la vandu இந்த மாதிரி இடத்துக்கு போறதுங்கிறதே I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
Introduction. Channakesava temple is also referred to as Vijayanarayana temple or the Kesava temple. This temple is located at Belur in the Hassan district. It approximately took over 1 or 3 years to build this beautiful temple. The main deity of the temple is Channakesava Perumal. History of the temple. This temple is built by one of the Hoysala kings, Vishnuvardhana. The Hoysala period began about 1000 CE and it continued through 1346 CE. In this period, they have built about many temples, like 1500 temples. Belur, where this temple is situated, is also called as Belur or Vellapura in old inscriptions and in medieval era texts. Belur was the early capitals of the Hoysala kings. Vishnuvardhana commissioned this temple for Chennakesava Perumal in 1117 CE. There is another temple within the temple complex, the Kappe Channagarya temple. This temple was sponsored by Vishnuvardhana's wife, Santala Devi. There is not a proper legend for the main Chennakesava temple, but there is a small legend for this Kappe Channagarya temple. In this temple, as the name suggests, Kappe, a frog was found near the navel of the god's idol. So after the frog was found, this temple was called Kappe Channagarya temple. And then after the Hoysala Empire kings, the temple was later repaired by the Vijayanagara Empire under the sponsorship of Harihara II. Then the temple premises were again damaged after the destruction of Vijayanagara Empire by a coalition of sultanates. So then repairs were done during the year 1709, then in 1717, and then in 1736. Agamas. Agamas means traditional rules, rules for worship, ritual, architecture. The agamas which is practiced in this temple is Pancharatra Agama. Pancharatra was a movement that was originated during the late 3rd century BCE around about the ideas about Narayana and many other avatars of Vishnu. The texts which were formed during that movement is considered to be Pancharatra Agamic texts. One of the main festival which is celebrated in this temple is the Rathotsava festival. This festival is celebrated after 12 days after Yugadi in the months between March to April. In this Rathotsava festival, the Uchchava Murti is drawn on a huge chariot, and this festival is celebrated for 2 days. Hundreds of people can be found in this temple during this festival. Epigraphy. Historians have found 118 inscriptions in this temple complex, which is dated between 1175 CE till the 18th century. These inscriptions provide the history of the temple, the grants made to the Chennakesava temple for its upkeep, and the repairs made during the later times. Below here I have given few informations which is obtained from the inscriptions. An inscription found on the east wall near the north entrance states that Vishnuvardhana commissioned this temple for god Vijayanarayana in 1117 CE. Then Narasimha I of Hoysala dynasty made grants to the temple for its maintenance. Then Valala II in 1175 CE added kitchen, grain storage in the southeast corner of the temple, and a water tank in the northeast corner of the temple. The temple was raided, damaged, and its gateway was burned down by a raid by a Muslim general Salar. The main temple had a shikara, but now it is missing and the temple looks flat. The tower was destroyed and rebuilt several times. As it was getting continuously collapsed, it was later removed during the late 19th century to save the lower levels, and it was never replaced. Temple architecture. This temple is a Vesara style of temple. Vesara style of temple means this temple has influences of both North Indian style of temple architecture, the Nagara, and South Indian style of temple architecture, the Dravida. This is the Gopuram of the temple. This Gopuram is later added by the Vijayanagara Empire. This was not built by the Hoysala kings. And there is a flanking mandapam around the temple complex. There is only one Gopuram for this whole temple. Vimanam of the temple. There is a raised Upapita and Adhishtanam, and there is only up to Sanctum wall. As I said before, the tower above the Sanctum was continuously getting collapsed, so it was removed later. If we see the Upapitas in stellar shape, this stellar shape of Upapita is one of the unique feature in the Vesara style of temples. And as the Upapitas in stellar shape, even the Sanctum walls are protruding and rather than being a plain wall. This is the enlarged image of the Adhishtanam, where you can find elephants, lions, horse, and scroll work here. Mahastambha or Kartika Deepotsava Stambha. This is a 42 feet monolithic pillar. This pillar does not have a structural base or a proper foundation. This is also set up on a star-shaped platform, and it does not have a structural support to make it stand firmly. This is the temple pond, Gajagonda. This was later added by Ballala II during 1175 CE. This is the aerial view of the temple. This is the Gopuram, and there are even other small temples within the temple complex. This is the main Kesava temple, and the sanctum is facing, main deity is facing towards the east direction. This is the Kape Chanagarya temple, and then this is the Somyanayaki temple for Lakshmi, and this is the Viranarayana temple and Andal temple. The Andal is known here as Ranganayaki. Behind this Andal temple, there is a granary, and here it is the temple pond. Iconography. This female figure is called as Madanika or Shilabalika, and this is a unique feature of Hoysala style of architecture. Like this, 42 female figures in total are found in this temple, and in most of these sculptures, in the pedestal, the name of the sculptors who have carved them have been mentioned. This Madanika is holding her hair, and her legs is in swastikam position. This is the Garuda of the temple. He is in Hanjali Asta and is in Samapada. And if we see, his nose looks like a bird's beak, and he has two fangs, and he is extremely ornamented. This is a Kirata Makuta, and he is wearing Sarpa Kundala, Kayura, Kangana, Udarabandha, Katibandha, and an anklet. I've added even few more pictures to show how the temple was carved. This is Chamundeshwari and Narasimhar killing Hiranyakasipu. This is the Hoysala emblem, and this is a panel which is found before the sanctum. This is the top ceiling of the Navaranga Mandapa, which is present before the sanctum. And these are the pillars found. If we see like this, there are many smaller shrines around the main Kesava temple, and the tower above the mini shrine suggests the missing piece of the main tower above the sanctum. And this is another Madanika, which can be viewed in two ways. If we see, like she's playing an imaginary flute and also like playing a kite. My experience, I was really very excited to visit this temple. This is the first Vesara style of temple I'm visiting, and I was really astonished by how the sculptors carved this beautiful temple and how they produced this fine artwork. I'm really very happy that I visited this temple. Thank you, Akka, for giving me this opportunity to present about this temple.
Thank you, Nitya. Sir, your comments, please. Sir.
Excellent. I visited Baylor one more time. You covered all the most critical parts, and you had a lot of nuances also. Like, for example, not many people talk about the link to frog, kape stuff. That is a good point. And the shikara, even not many of the temple architecture students know that it had a shikara and what type of shape of shikara. And I am really happy to listen to this from a 12th standard student, and we have a great teacher. Okay. And I was really very much excited by the way you were describing about the ornaments and jewels and the temple components. It is good. And Madanika and other things. Okay.
Thank
when
you.
you see, but when you see Madanikas, how many? 42. Your hands and other things should be excited. You should be able to replicate the poses. You should be able to talk about the poses. Like how much time will it take for you to list the 42 and list out what are the karanas, what they are doing? That is the amalgamation or the sangamam of your studies along with your passion. Okay, we will try to do some similar programs on this
Absolutely.
for
Yeah.
you, some interesting things for you in this aspect. So naturally extend between what you have learned. Say you go one step above, and from that you start learning something, and
Yes.
then again one step above, start learning something more. Okay, this is what you should be doing. So your perspective of seeing the temple and explaining this was good. Like, see, if you go to Wikipedia, you can get all the information, but that is different. What you perceive and what you have seen or understood or enjoyed when you express it, that conveys your understanding. In that way, most of the presentations so far have been really good. I am looking forward to the rest of the presentation. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So next up was Shweta. She is in her first year of university. Shweta, please pull up your presentation.
Yes, Akka. Yeah. Yeah, namaste all. Today I will be presenting about the Vaidiswaran Kovil. It's one of the most beautiful temples, as we know. It's like as a large area and many gopurams too. I'll be explaining about that. Yeah. So now to the introduction. It is located in the Mailadurai district, and the historical name of this temple is Pullirukka Velur. And there's a derivation for this Pullirukka Velur, like when you separate it, Pull is referred to the bird, that is Jadayu, and Irka is a Veda, and it is said that it's a Rig Veda, and Vel is the Murugan, because we have Murugan shrine in this temple, and Ur is Surya, and it is said to be about 1,000 to 2,000 years old, and the main deity is Vaidyanatha Swami in the form of Shivalinga, and he's known to cure the illness. He's known as god of healing, and the main deity is facing west. That's one of the special feature, because usually the main deity will face east, but here it's west. And the other deities include Tailnayagi Selvamuthu Kumaraswamy, and it is one of the Navagraha temples associated with planet Mars, Angarana, and it is revered by Devaram of 7th century Nayanas, sung by Samantaran Upper. So that's why it's classified as Padal Petasthalam. Now to the history. Here we have contributions from various rulers like Vikrama Chola, Veera Rajendra Chola, Achyutappa Nayaka, and the Maratha prince, the Tulaja. Here we mainly have 5 inscriptions, the recorded 5 inscriptions that belongs to the period of Kulatunga Chola, and the oldest date is actually 12th century. So 12th century belongs to Vikrama Chola, 16 Nayakas, and Marathas 18. And poet Arunagiri Nadar sang Thirupugal on the temple's Murugan shrine, about the Murugan. This is the song. It is from 5th Tirumurai. Vellerukkara Vampira Vanchadai Pullirukkave Luraran Porkadal Ullirukka Munarchiyil Ladavar Nalliruppar Naraga Kulile. So the meaning says that those who have no perception of the deity in the temple, on whose matter has and the white yagam flowers are mingled, they are in their minds will be in hell. So it says that like they appear to actually recognize the function of the mantras as invocation of Shiva. Here and the poet also feels that he wasted a lot of days not worshipping Shiva in this temple, so he feels and write this the hymn. That's the history. Now moving to the legend. There are many legends in this temple. The Talapuranam. I have mentioned some of them. So it is said that Rama, Lakshmana, and the Saptarishi worship the deity, and when Ravana during the Ramayana, when Ravana kidnapped Sita, Jadayu tried to save, but he was killed. His wings was cut by Ravana. So he was alive till Rama came, and after that he died. Then Rama performed the last rites of Jadayu in this temple. It is said to be performed, and we have a Jadayu Kundam inside the temple too. And the other legend is that the Angaraga, the planet, suffer from leprosy. So it said that he was cured by Vaidyanatha Swami. So it is treated as one of the Navagraha. And another legend is Parvati presented a veil to his son Muruga, and he killed Surapadman. During that war, Sarmi was injured, badly wounded, and the army was treated by Vaidyanatha Swami, and that is one of the legends. And yeah, so these are the legends. Now moving to the architecture. So these are the two gopurams. When we enter the temple, the second one is the first gopuram, and then we move to the second gopuram too. And now I want to show like a panoramic picture of the 5 gopurams. So the special feature in this temple is that 5 gopurams are on a straight line. So it allows the rays of light to fall on the main deity. Just a minute. So you could see that we have 5 gopurams here. This is the first one, second, third, 4th, and the 5th.
We are not
So,
able to see your.
This is the
Sweta, you are still sharing the presentation.
Yeah, we are not
You
able
may
to see
need to
your.
unshare that and then share the other image.
oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Sure. Yeah, okay. So yeah, so this is just a view of both the gopurams, and this is these two are the subsidiary shrines in the temple. The first one is the Vinayaka shrine located near the temple tank, and the second is the Dakshina Murti. This is the main Garbhagraha of both the deities. The first is the Shiva, the Vaidyanatha Swami, and the second is the Tayal Nayagi shrine. And this is the Praharam that is located to the left side after entering the temple. So basically, they have actually renovated the temple. I mean, the paintings are new, they have added. And this is the Tepa column. So the main feature of this is known as Siddhamrita Tepa column, and it is known that those who have a dip in this column they'll be cured from all the diseases. And this is the mandapa. Excuse me. So coming to the epigraphy, the first, so I have said 5 inscriptions, right? These 3 are the recorded ones. The details of the inscription. So the first one, it's located on the steps of the Subramanya shrine, which tells about the shutter of sluice. Sluice is nothing but it's a gate to control the flow of water from the canal. Like it's about the water system they had during that period at Satyanadapuram. That sluice is of 35 inches length and 8 inches breadth. And the second inscription is the walls of the second present. Says that the courtyard of Tayal Nayagi, the sacred Tatisuri Hall, built in the 17th century. And the third inscription talks about the Eastern Gateway, that tells the gift of taxes from Manipalam in the Tiruvallipadu, during the Varipadu. So the rituals and festivals. So these are the main festivals conducted. The Brahmotsavam, it is celebrated during the Tamil month of Panguni and Thai Masam. The Kartigai during the November, and the Kandashashti in the shrine of Muthukumara Swami. And here there's a medicine called Tiruchandu Urundai, which is believed to cure all the diseases. And this is made of medicinal clay extracted from the temple pond from the neem leaves, because the Talavrisham here is the neem leaves, the neem bark powder, and the holy ash from the Homakundam. And the Agama followed is the Kamika Agama. It's a primary source for the details of personal worship, the temple construction, the dedication, and the aspects of the design of the home and village architecture. One of the specialties here is the Navagrahas are behind the sanctum in a straight line, as if the Navagrahas are obeying the god. And there are 2 Kodimarams before the presiding deity, which is made of gold and silver. And here, Nadi astrology is very popular. So it is based on the belief that the past, present, and future of humans were predicted by the Hindu sages using the yogic and intuitive powers. So here they use Vattirthu in this in this astrology, and Agatya is said to have those divine revelations. I mean, he was said to wrote the scripts, the palm leaves astrology. And about the iconography, so this is one of the structure on the pillars of the temple mandapam. So this is by seeing this, we can say that it's of Vijayanagara time, the sculpture built during Vijayanagara time. And you can see it's a soldier, probably a war scene where he's ready to fight with his sword. And there are 2 soldiers behind, under the main. The second one is holding a shield and a sword. And the first one is, they both are of different positions, and you can see the kundalam, which is like a simple one of that. Yeah, so this is about the iconography. So I'll be showing a small video. You can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the eagle view of the temple. You can see the
You can have some water, and that will improve your throat.
Yes, actually, I'm having throat pain. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No, not at all, please. Don't
Not
stress.
at all.
Yeah, thank you. So you can see the 5 Gopuram, they're in a straight line. This is the Raja Gopuram, the first one. And this is the Tepakolam. Yeah, this one. Yeah, and I want to show photos.
Yeah, can you?
This is the Selvam Muthukumara
Yeah,
Swami.
can you show me the sanctum in this screen? Can you go back to the view? Can you show me the sanctum?
Just a minute.
Garbhagraham.
Yeah,
please see picture.
this I guess I think the second
What is this? It is a Gopuram or Vimana?
Vimanam.
So where will be the sanctum?
The main sanctorum will be the Vimana.
It will be in the center of the square.
Yes.
So first identify the
Yes.
square and then see the center.
Yes, sir.
Let go little to this. Just before, just on just above the memoirs, the last yes, just above yes. When you see the text memoirs, okay, just above the last letter yes. If you go straight up, you will see the Vimana.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So that was the original temple. Now you understand how it has been expanded into 2 layer, 3 layer, 4 layer, 5 layer, and then has become a big temple.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the perspective you should understand.
So
Good.
this the center structure here is the Vimana. That's what sir is trying to tell.
Yes, yes, this is the sanctum.
The one which is in the pyramidal shape, which is just
Yes.
that must be the sanctum, and the rest are the gopuras.
Gopuras. Each prakara and all the prakaras are covered by roof, so we don't get to see this.
Yes.
Good, excellent selection of picture. I really like this.
Thank you, sir.
See, a apt picture is worth 1,000 words. You show it in a perfect picture, then it is very easy. You need not describe the picture will speak for themselves. Good.
Yeah. So that's for the PPT. Thank you, ma'am and Padmaka, for this opportunity, and I thank the guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Shweta, sir.
Yeah. So nice summation. When did you go to Vaidiswaran temple?
Yeah, recently, in the end of May month, sir.
After Kumbhabhishekam.
Yes, after the Kumbhabhishekam. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. So you actually captured nicely some of the unique aspects of a Vaidiswaran temple, like the offerings, the Nadi Josiam and other things. That's what. Rather than depending on Wikipedia, if you focus on your observation power, you can observe and talk about lot. So please don't refer to Wikipedia. That is my humble request. Okay. First, you write what you have observed and then slowly start corroborating this. See, when you observe, so many points will come up like why this, why it is so different. Okay. When you start questioning this, then start for answers. If you go with the answers from Wikipedia, then you will never learn.
Yes, sir.
That way, good. I like your perspective of what you have seen and you explained. That is a good way of expressing things. Good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So the final presentation for the evening is from Sadhana, studying in 9th standard. Sadhana, please pull up your presentation.
So good evening everyone, this is Sadhana and today I'll be talking about the Dandeshwara temple. So before we begin, it's like an agenda. So first I'll give an overview of the temple and then look at the location. I'll talk about the Sthala Puranas and the legends, and then we'll talk about the deities, its history, the agama that's being put in use, the epigraphy, the architecture, iconography, and finally I'll conclude with my views on the temple. So this is the overview of the temple. So the Moolavar is Dandeshwarar, the Uchavar is Somaskandar, the Amman or the Tayar is Karunambike, the Sthala Vriksham, that is the main tree of the temple, is the Vilvamaram, And then the Tirtham is the Yama Tirtham. And the Agamam that is followed is the Kamika Agama. This temple is more than 1,000 years old, 1,300 years in fact. The historical name of the temple is Vedashani. It's located in Valuchery actually. So with the location, so Dandeshwara temple is a Shiva temple that is situated in Valuchery. So now I'll go ahead with the Sthala Puranam. So there are two Sthala Puranams in this temple. This is the first one. So there was an Asura called Somasura who took the Vedas from Brahma, threw them in the water. So Brahma requested Vishnu to come forward and recover the Vedas from the devil. And so Vishnu took the Matsya avatar and this, but the Vedas had been contact with the demon for some time and their purity was lost. So the four Vedas meditated on Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is always pleased with devotion, pure devotion. And so Lord Shiva appears and redeems the Vedas with their lost glory. And thus the place where the Vedas worship Lord Shiva, that place came to be known as Vedashani. So in this picture over here, you can see the four Vedas worshipping Lord Shiva. The linga that you see here, it was installed by the four Vedas. Vedashani is basically the name which later gave rise to the term Valuchery. So yes. And this is the second legend. There's another mythology of this temple that is about Lord Yama and Markandeya. So we all know about sage Markandeya, right? So he is the son of sage Mirkandu and Murudhati. He was only destined to live for 16 years, but due to his great devotion for Lord Shiva, he's like still living. So what happens is on the day he turns 16, Yama comes to take away his life. At that time, he was worshipping Lord Shiva and he hugs the idol of Lord Shiva. And Yama takes the Pashakaira and then he puts it on Markandeya. But that also entwines around Shiva idol as well. And Shiva comes out and he was really furious because Yama was trying to bring harm to his devotee. And so what Lord Shiva did was that he kicked Yama on the chest and he took the dandam of Lord Yama. And because of this, Lord Yama lost all his strength and powers and he could not carry out his duties of taking the lives of people. Now Yama realized his mistake and he wanted to pray to Lord Shiva for forgiveness and for the restoration of his strength. Okay, so he decided to go to Kailasam and seek the forgiveness of Lord Shiva. On the way, he meets Narada, who advised Yama to instead go to Vedashani and worship the Swayambhulinga that is there. And so Yama takes the advice and makes his way to Valuchery. And what he did is he creates a Tirtham known as the Yama Tirtham and he takes a dip in it and then he begins to pray and meditate on Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, as usual, is pleased by his prayers and granted back his staff to him. The staff is known as Dandam. So that's why the Shiva here is known as Dandeshwara because he's the bestower of the Dandam to Lord Yama. And yeah, so here you can see the Yama Tirtham, which was constructed by Dharmaraja himself when he prayed to Lord Shiva. It is located in the west side of the Dandeshwaram temple. So here now we'll talk about the deities. As I told you, the deity here, main deity is Dandeshwarar. Danda means mythical staff. So Dandeshwarar is the one who is bestowing the mythical staff. And the consort of Lord Dandeshwara is Karunambikai. Karuna, although they can relate with the word mercy. So Karunambikai means merciful mother. So next, the history of the temple. The temple was built during the Pallava reign and was repaired and rebuilt during the Chola reign. But again, there are some suggest that the temple was built during the Chola reign itself. So there's a confusion in this regard. And so talking about these two dynasties, the Pallavas and the Cholas, the Pallavas were most noted for their patronage of the Hindu temple architecture. So on this map over here, you can see where the Pallavas ruled. And the Pallavas existed from 275 CE to 897 CE, and they ruled a large part of the Deccan, which was known then as the Tondai Mandalam. And coming to the Cholas, we've already studied about the Moovendar. It's like the Cholas, the Pandyas, and the Cheras. So one thing that is notable about the Cholas is that it was one of the longest ruling dynasties in the world. In fact, there is a Ashoka inscription that mentions the Cholas from the 3rd CE, and the Cholas were in rule almost till the 13th CE, which is like 10 centuries together. So that's an interesting thing about the Chola dynasty. And with that, we move on to the Agama. So the Agama that is followed here is the Kamika Agama. So what are Agamas in the first place? Agamas are like manuals for the ritual worships that are performed in the temples. Now Agamas, they can be on Lord Shiva. If they're on Lord Shiva, they're known as Shaiva Agamas. And Shaiva Agamas, there are 28 of them. And each Shaiva Agama represents a form of Lord Shiva. For example, you have the Kamika Agama here. It represents the 2 feet of Lord Shiva. So each Agama corresponds to a part of the day of Lord Shiva. So here, as I mentioned, the Agama followed is the Kamika Agama. And talking about the temples, the temple, it observes many festivals, which includes Pradosham, Shashti, Ritigai, and Navaratri. So next we have the epigraphy. Epigraphy is basically the study of inscriptions, and this part really intrigued me because the oldest inscription that was found here belongs to the 10th century. It was written during the reign of Sundara Chola, and it mentions about the donation of goats that was made by Tennur Deva Kumara Ganitam towards burning a lamp in this temple. So this is the oldest inscription that was found here. And not only from the reign of Sundara Chola, you also have from many rulers of the Chola dynasty. You even have an inscription from the reign of Rajaraja Chola I, who, as we know, built the Bharatiya temple, and also his son Rajendra Chola. And talking about the language, it's written in Tamil and Devanagari ancients. It is seen around the Sanctum Sanctorum and also on the wall pillars. So next is the architecture. The temple has 3 entrances. So the first one is in the north, and one in the east, and one in the west. In the north, you have the Rajagopuram, which is like the main entrance. On the east and on the west, you have 2 smaller gopurams. And these 2 entrances from the east and the west are currently closed. So we usually enter through the Rajagopuram. And the deity Dandishwara is facing the east. And Lord Karunambika is housed in a separate sanctum that faces the south. And in the east, before the Sanctum Sanctorum, in which Dandishwara is, you can see the Bali Pitam, the Nandi, and the Kodimaram. So here you can see the picture of the Nandi, and actually this is not the Nandi of this temple. And here you have the Kodimaram, and here you have the Bali Pitam. So if you're wondering what the Bali Pitam is, it's like the place where offerings are offered to the god. And philosophically speaking, it's the place where we sacrifice our ego, and it's like if you do that, you will raise the level of God. So then coming to the Ardha Mandapam. Ardha Mandapam is like half open. Ardha in Sanskrit means half. So it's like half open Mandapam. And in the entrance of the Ardha Mandapam, you have the Dwara Balakas. And here you can also see the idols of Ganesha and Kartikeya with his consorts Bali and Devani. Now, because in this temple you can see Shiva, Parvati, Ganesha, and Kartikeya, this temple is known to have a Kudumbara Samedhara Kachi, which basically means that all the family members are present. And talking about the Vimana in this temple is 5-tiered. It has 5 salas. So yes, continuing with the architecture, this temple has 2 prakaras. In the outer prakara, you can see the idols of Surya, the 36 9 Mars, who were basically the devotees of Lord Shiva, then Alvar, and then Sekular, Ganesha, Veerabhadra, and Sanishwara. Talking about Veerabhadra, usually Veerabhadra appears to be in a standing position holding the dandam, but here he's in a seated position. So that's something special about the Veerabhadra present in this temple. And apart from this, you also have the idols of Mahalakshmi and Saraswati. Here you can see the picture of Lord Saraswati and Ganesha. And in this temple, you also have Dakshinamurti, who is worshipped as Yoga Dakshinamurti. Here I've also given the picture of the Vilva Maram. As I mentioned earlier, it's the Sthala Vriksham of this temple. And now, iconography. Iconography is basically the study of icons and statues. So here I've chosen the idol of Saraswati. So when we see this idol, what we basically observe in the beginning is that Saraswati is in a seated position. In her hands, she is holding the veena, and then she has the book, and she has a japamala. So here you can also see that Saraswati has 4 hands. Not only Saraswati, most Hindu deities are depicted with 4 arms. And what do these arms represent? Well, these 4 arms represent the 4 aims of human endeavor, which is basically the Purusharthas, which are Dharma, Artha, Kama. Dharma means righteousness, Artha means wealth or prosperity, Kama means pleasure or desire, and Moksha means liberation. So basically, what this means is that we split it. So it says Dharma Artha, which means that wealth should be earned in a righteous way, and Kama Moksha, which means that we should have desire to be liberated from the cycle of birth. So I'll tell you what Saraswati is holding, what they represent symbolically. So Saraswati is seen to have a veena in her hand. This symbolizes spiritual harmony because, as we know, music or sound is the source of creation. Like we all know about Om and how the universe developed from it. And then Saraswati also is holding the Pustaka, which is the Vedas that give us knowledge. And the Hasta, which one is holding the Pustaka, that Hasta is known as the Pustaka Hasta. And then Saraswati also has the Japamala, which symbolizes sadhana or spiritual practice. And then looking at the posture of Saraswati, she is, as I told earlier, in a seated posture. One of her feet is folded and the other one is placed on a lotus. So this asana in which Saraswati is seated in this particular icon is known as Prasasanam. So yes, so that brings it close to iconography. I'll move on now to my views. So doing this really helped me, and when I realized about this temple, I realized that it was like more than 1,000 years old, and I was really mesmerized. Until then, it was just a ordinary temple, and making me I realized that if some of our ancestors could build something that could last for like more than 1,000 years, they must have had some advanced measures, right? And it entirely me of the fact that our ancestors were just as advanced, or maybe even more advanced than we are today. And it also made me feel proud of coming from such a rich tradition. And yeah, and it also awakened a sense of duty in me that I had to conserve and preserve these things of the past for the future generations as well. So these are some things that I learned from visiting this temple. And so with that, I bring an end to my presentation. So thank you everyone. Thank you for the opportunity and for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadhana. Sir, open to your comments.
Good job, Sadhana. It was part your views and your perceptions, and the part on acquired knowledge. So it is a mix of what you have learned and what you have read. So slowly, this is for all, right? this is a request and suggestion to all. Don't acquire knowledge. Please acquire perspective. You see, if you go to the temple, for example, put all things what you can understand, that you talk. Whatever you don't understand, put it and start exploring. Then only you can go to the next level. Otherwise, this will become just like our government of India and Tamil Nadu +2 syllabus. You mug up things and then start giving beautiful presentation. This is not reflection on you, it is reflection on anybody. That's why I'm saying that the Wikipedia is a blessing and it is also a curse. Okay, Wikipedia is a combination of 500 idiots like us who have contributed and it has collated into this form. We don't know whether half of it is right or not. Okay, the views are really good. The way you structured the presentation is good, and some of your perspectives are really great. But going into the four hands and their aspects is something which even I have not tried. Okay, that way you are bold enough. But the thing is, when you start talking about it, when you start understanding it, that will be far more useful. Okay, so this is at 4 or 5 levels. When we have see, when we talk about the gods, why gods have 4 hands? I used to say in my trainings here that humans have only 2, gods are big. Then we need to have 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, something. So that is a natural explanation. Then once that activity happens, we are for each of these hands, you start giving different aspects to describe different aspects of God which you would like to see in them. This is the natural progression when the people who evolved from the Neolithic and other things, when they started going into religious way, they wanted to see the gods as supernatural, and whatever they wanted to have, all these aspects they put it. And one hand he cannot have 15 aspects, so add and more. Add. There is a natural explanation. Then once that activity comes, the second cycle is people start explaining a lot of logic and other things around that phenomena. So that gives a lot of explanation. That's why Badri sir and I was saying that you have 4 directions. Okay, one is the belief system in our Puranas. Okay, you have one, which has come from very, very long forefathers. Short term, you have your local Puranas. 4 generations or 5 generations before that, somebody would have physically seen it and explained it, and then it would have changed several number of times and it has come to us. Okay, for example, down the line in 100 years, there might be a local Purana saying that in 21st century, there used to be a god called Jayalalitha. If she raises her first hand, okay, idli used to come. And if she raises the second hand, she used to supply chapatis to all. This is primarily the metamorphosis of a local phenomena called Amma Udavutittam that will over the years get changed. In 200 years, she will have a different situation and you will have an iconography for Jayalalitha with chapati and idli. Possible. This is how the local stories evolve. You need to understand that the technique between these two. Then the third component is the documented evidence. Okay, documented in view of inscriptions, copper plates, and other things. So it is near truth. What you see and what you visualize and what you infer is the 4th one. You go to a temple, you see that different components, different buildings are different shapes and other things. Then you try to analyze what period they belong to. Okay, And then there are different stories, different structures. Why they are giving this prasadam? Why they are not giving salt to Opuliyappan temple? They are not giving salt to the god. Do you know the story of this? So all these things are the exploration where you try to see different aspects of heritage. Okay, that way, if you apply, it is very easy. And the way I liked about your presentation is applying your knowledge and talking in your own terms, like explaining all the icons, explaining the asanas, and explaining the jewels, the poses of Saraswati. I liked it very much. So that is where, see, you have certain knowledge and you need to see things from the certain knowledge. Then that knowledge is stored in the memory. Then occurs some more perspective. This is how the brain works. So please go on the journey and definitely it will be worthwhile. So this is what I wanted to say to everybody. Don't acquire knowledge. Let it grow with you. What you observe and what you infer. If you take this as a model from this, that is what will expand your knowledge and go to the thing. So instead of focusing on the local Puranas, if you people would have focused more on mudras or other things, I would have been very, still more happy. But this is the beginning.
Yes.
Okay. And for a beginning, this is simply great. And tonight I am going to sleep as a very happy man that whatever we started as a small thing is going into the next level of progression, and we have so many people taking this. The amount of presentation skills you have occurred. This is what I was talking about Silpis, right? Silpis are having CAD-CAM kind of an expertise. But when nowadays, when we want to talk about presentation, when you talk about chitra or sculptures, and if you the வாயில வடை சொல்றதுங்களா அது மாதிரி அது சொன்னேன்னு it doesn't reach. You need to have a proper PowerPoint, the right kind of pictures and right kind of words to explain. If that is there, that is a deadly combination. That is a consistent, beautiful thing I observed in all the presentations. They are way above the normal professional presenters. I have not seen this. Okay, imagine Sripadma, even in our school presentation, we never had this kind of a quality because people were on different things, and I really appreciate the
youngsters are far more
exactly.
ahead
See,
than all of us in our class.
The other interesting point which I used to say is when you can do complex stuff like Bharatanatyam, PowerPoint is not a major issue. Okay, the variations in PowerPoint are far more less than the variations in Bharatanatyam and other fine arts.
Absolutely.
So people can learn easily. One of my sculptures, he is an expert in AutoCAD.
Wow.
But when I asked him how did he learn it, when we have so many sutras and other things, this is nothing.
Absolutely. This is nothing.
Okay?
Absolutely.
When he remembers that kind of sutras, this is nothing.
Yes.
So this is where I see the good beginning. All of the core presentation, the key things were you had the interest to explore. Okay, there is certain amount of Wikipedia, there is certain amount of acquired data that is always there. Okay, but let it not be your evaluation perspective.
Yes.
Okay, first try to write what you understand, what you can explain enough. Then when you start practicing it, this size will gradually expand over a period, and you will be amazed that you are able to acquire. Then only it will. Otherwise, we will be repeating the same PowerPoint even after 10 years. By now, you will remember all the facts. You don't need a PowerPoint, but it is not going to help anybody. Okay, your presentation should expand in terms of more and more questions you ask, and then more and more clarity you get. So there's a cycle where you have, you know that you know all.
Absolutely.
There is a happy feeling. Suddenly, when you look forward, you find that something is wrong. Then you start exploring, you know that there is something more. Then these are the yes, now I have learned it. And after some time, you know that there is something more to learn. So this is the cycle where your knowledge gets expanding into this. So if you go on to this courses, definitely all of you can be excellent all-rounders. This is what Sangama is about. And I think my pronouns to Lalita Madam and Sri Padma for triggering this. And I think you have achieved your object and we are on the right path. Definitely, Tamil Heritage Trust is willing to support you.
Thank you,
in all your activities. We can have something more like I was talking. Let us take 1 or 2 temples and start documenting in the Karanas and other things.
Yes.
And then
that will be a very
mix 2 or
interesting
3 aspects.
Absolutely.
Right. And then analyze why the stances are like this.
Exactly.
And definitely there are a lot of other things we can work.
Absolutely.
So that way I am really happy that you are taking this to next level. And we will also help you in taking some of the sessions in terms of putting the karanas and then sculptures and other things in place and have the historical perspective.
Thank you, sir.
When you have the historical perspective, it will be far more easier for you.
Absolutely. So in this, in the courses level, we had these sections explained what are different agamas. It is again just an introductory year, I should say. Introduction ke vandu namakku 1 year kuda pattadu avlo. It's just the into different aspects of Indian heritage, because these kids they are learning dance as dance. Okay, நம்ம கிளாஸ் போறோம் கத்துக்கிறோம். So அதுக்குள்ள இவ்வளவு விஷயங்கள் இருக்கு அப்படிங்கறது தான் வந்து we wanted to actually ஒரு create their inquisitiveness so that they can learn themselves. நீங்க சொல்ற மாதிரி more read more, explore more, observe more. And as you rightly said, we cannot teach every aspect. In fact, I did not teach a lot. I only gave them the resources. எனக்கு நீங்க ஷேர் பண்ண ரிசோர்சஸ் நான் அவங்களுக்கு ஷேர் பண்ணேன். So I want them to take that effort on what asana it is and what especially and the jewel names. நமக்கு அவ்வளோ ஒரு கிளாஸ்க்கும் ஒரு full-fledged எடுக்கிறதுக்கு we don't have that space and time also. And it also avangala அதை explore பண்ணி கத்துக்கும் போது it stays in their mind, just exactly like what you said. So that is that is the effort that we wanted to put in. And they were introduced to the agamas, they were introduced to different shastras, like generally shilpa shastra na enna, even the terminology that the students these days nama anyway ena idella nanga history la padikkiradhu kedaiyadhu school la. So these are terminologies we wanted to introduce to them so that they know what it is, so they can apply that when they visit a temple. Okay, this is called shilpa and what shastra. So as you said, the next step would be to take it a little bit more in depth on focusing a bit more on natya and their stances and how you are portraying it when you're doing a story of, say, Kannappa Nayana story நம்ம ஒரு டான்ஸ்ல பண்ணும்போது what are the different, how we can extrapolate information from sculptures and strike that pose. நீங்க சொன்ன இந்த மதனிகா poses, they're also beautiful that they can be replicated in a dancer or in a dancing pose. So that would be an ideal next step forward. And also bit more detailing into all the iconography la romba basic introduction da we have just touched the surface.
இல்ல அவ்வளவுதான் வேணும், அதுக்கு மேல போக கூடாது, அதுக்கு மேல போக கூடாது. போனோம்னா அது போய்டும். We should know what is the concept of iconography. அவ்வளவுதான். அதுக்கு பிறகு see, this is like a ocean. Everybody can take a path in their own way, their own thing, and then excel in it. There is so much to learn. And I could see that all the presentations here are with different perspectives. Somebody has seen it with the festival in mind, somebody has seen it with the ornaments in mind, somebody has seen it with the local story, and then they were expanding the local story to such a great extent. One was focusing on the Puranic side, and Belur was explained in far more architectural details. Like that, different flavors, different. That is what we wanted to see.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's why when we talk about how to see in a temple, if everybody has talked only about the architecture, I would have been disappointed. But I got a fairly colorful view of a temple today.
Yeah.
Thanks to that, it was a really good. And
Uh,
definitely we would like to continue with this.
Absolutely. So
And
there's a question
Badri,
from
yeah,
about the
sure. One
Mahalakshmi
moment.
Sannadhis.
Yeah, one moment.
Yeah, sorry.
One moment. Badri had to leave early
Yes,
because
sir.
of some commitment. He is a very busy man,
Yeah.
and he is one of the leading political observers in the circuit. And then he runs his own book publishing house called Kadakku Padipagam.
Mm.
And he is one of the joint founders of Tamil Heritage Trust along with Professor Swaminathan from IIT Delhi. So he saw this, he saw the interest in it, and he also wanted to join and do this. He wanted to meet all of you sometime. I will
Absolutely.
also plan for a schedule to do.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. Definitely, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So now let us go to the questions.
We have one question. Is there any reason why there are Sannadhis of Vishnu, Mahalakshmi, Brahma, Saraswati in the temple? I think they're referring to the Vedashreni temple, Nanikran. I think that's when the question popped up. It was unique, so
Okay.
kindly.
So now I am putting this question back to the younger minds. Now, can anybody tell why there are so many different subsidiary deities? Anybody from the audience? You can raise the hand and then answer. Sweta, you are on mute.
Sir, I think like they're prominent gods and goddesses, so that's why we have Sannadhis. Many.
Right. But whenever we do things, there is always an order to it. Even Bharatanatyam or anything are always having any order to it. Do you observe an order in this? Yeah, Ramya.
Whenever we go to a temple, there's always a Ganesha in the front. That's how it starts.
So when you come out of the prakaram and then when you start a circumambulation, you first see the Ganesha. Very good. Next. What will be the next one?
Not too sure, sir, but I think in the Dandishran temple when we go
Right.
in.
So you'll see the Shiva form of Yoga
the
Shiva.
Dandishram temple, we see Lingam form of Shiva when we go into the Sannati. But before that, the
Backside.
Prakaram.
Right.
We
And
see
after that?
Nayanmars.
After that?
Next, we can see when after we come out, when we take a round, we can see Chandigarh Sannadhi. Not a Sannadhi, but a small shrine.
Right.
And
Before
then,
Chandigarh Sannadhi, what will be there?
Nayanmars.
Okay.
Then,
Then what else?
on the outside, not on the outside, but after that, like when you go, you can see the solar system representation.
Right. Navagrahas. Okay.
Navagraha.
So, see, this is the assignment to you. Okay. So you analyze and see some are the temples. Like this is, I can give the answer that will be a textbook answer. And I want you people to realize. Okay. And you go to the temples, see what is the sequence and whether it varies from temple to temple. And what is there in east, west, south, and other things? What is there in corner as a separate temple? What is there in the kosham as part of the outer wall of the sanctum? Okay, you put a tabulation, analyze, and come up with a rule. There is a logic to it, and there is a sequence to it. Okay, if you realize yourself, this I have given it as an assignment to 10-year-old guys. They rounded 4 temples. They said, uncle, this is the sequence. What they did is they written it in paper. They went through, they did it, and then they said, uncle, this is the same sequence. And only in one temple, he got confused because the sequence was different. Once I explained why the logic, he found out that also. So when you do so many things, it is not a very difficult task for you to explore. Okay. Whoever is asked a question, thank you very much. You have given me an assignment.
Yes, sir. I think I saw a couple of hand
if you
raises.
have any open questions, if you have any open questions on anything, feel free. This is the time I have with you, right? So you can ask me any questions.
Yes, I saw a few 2 hand raised, but I don't see that now. So yeah, but you can post it on the chat or hand raise so we can ask the question directly. Okay. So, okay, sir, I think we are coming to the end of the session. Any questions? Any more questions? Yes, 1 plus nod to 5G. Sorry, you had
Well, I am Ramji. Just wanted
hello,
to
Ramji,
appreciate
sir.
all the little girls. Hello, madam. It was a wonderful effort, and I really appreciate all the kids. They've done an excellent work. Just as what Shiv Shankar sir said, it's a beginning. And as he rightly said, try to club whatever you are learning to what you are seeing. And learning happens only when you experience.
Absolutely.
Both in terms of dance and as well as when you look at the sculpture. That would be a very good amalgamation as well as a very good learning process as well. Excellent effort. I was just looking back at myself when I was in 10th standard or 9th standard or 12th standard or even in the first year BSc. Would I have been able to make a presentation of this quality? Definitely not. And salutations to all the kids and the Gurujis in you and the other man as well. Thank you. Congratulations again to the little.
Thanks, Ramji, for joining. Just to give a background, Ramji is also part of the Alamaravai group. He is a principal of a group of schools in Gujarat. Okay, but whatever we are doing here, he is doing in Gujarat with similar temples and other things.
Absolutely.
And you can also tie up with him for viewing some of the beautiful Gujarat temples and other things. You can schedule for a tie up with him, and where you can have a cultural exchange program.
Absolutely.
Where you
I
can
would be
teach
very
students.
happy.
Yeah.
I would be very happy if that happens, if the tie-up between two schools
Likewise.
happens.
Likewise,
And our
sir.
students sharing our local heritage, and your students sharing whatever they have done just now.
Yeah, that would be really
Excellent
good.
effort.
Some of the presentations shown today are very good professional stuff, and it will be a far more detailed presentation for school students, who are from a different region.
Yeah, we can take up different topics, sir, like for festival, agriculture, in terms of dance, different things which each state has its own unique. We are a world by ourselves.
Correct. Absolutely. Definitely, sir. It's as I said, it's just a beginning. We hope to do much more in this regard. Kandipa. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
So tomorrow we also started similar initiatives from multiple schools, and last 4 months ago, I started the Heritage Club in Rane School in Trichy, near Tiruvallai, the famous temple. Now they have gone through 2 or 3 rounds of testing, and for Tamil New Year, they had an exhibition of all traditional food, traditional dresses, and other things.
Awesome, excellent.
And tomorrow, what I had done is, when I was there for the inauguration, I have taken all the teachers to the Tiruvallai temple and explained them how to teach Tiruvallai temple to the students. Okay, Tomorrow, with this knowledge, they are going to take all the children to Tiruvallur temple. That is one of the unique temples in Tamil Nadu, and which has got a fantastic structure. It has got the only rare temples in Tamil Nadu. Gujarat is full of temples, whereas here is the only one surviving temple, and lot of iconographical wonders in that. So like that, a lot of activities are happening and then starting to do, and definitely what you have invested in the last 1 year is a great step, and I could see the result in the students excited and doing presentations at a very good class level.
Thank you, sir.
I really commend on your effort and Dr. Lalitha Madam's effort on creating this and being the driving force behind all these initiatives. Thank you all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Balaram Krishnan had raised his hand. Sir, please.
Yeah, hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, ma'am. So this is a very generic question. So what can we as individuals do to improve the condition of some temples? They tend to be slightly dilapidated or not so well maintained, and there's so much of room to improve the condition of it. So it's just a very generic thought, like what can we do to improve that? Any thoughts or suggestions from the end of?
We can't do anything, as simple as that. Okay, but what we can do is, you have a room, you have a school. I will tell you an example. When you appreciate that the school is not a place where we sit, we need to be there in the morning 9 o'clock when the bell struck, and in the evening 4 o'clock when the bell rings, you can go out. Once you go out of that mode and see that that is a temple of learning, and this is where I am going to learn a lot of things, this is where I am going to spend most of my time, you start taking care of the school. Okay, if a bench is broken, you try to correct it. You start maintaining your environment clean, because this is my classroom. Okay, then slowly that expansion goes into the awareness and spreads, and say this is my school. Then your school will be beautiful and you care about your school, right? So we are addressing at grassroots. So we can donate 1,000 rupees, or we can give 2 masons and other things, and we can recover dilapidated temples. Okay, but this is not going to happen without the local support and without the guys understanding it. The first problem is, first understand the criticality and the need for temples. Then other things will gradually follow. What we are trying to do now is highlight to the younger generation, you people, saying that what temples were, what is the need, and what is the moment you understand the temples. I have seen many youngsters saying, fighting with the things, uncle, this is the temple wall, you don't write any poster on this. That coming from a 10-year-old student is that he has understood the importance of the temple. That is what we should be pushing for, rather than trying to give some contribution and other things. So this will be my view.
Great.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. If there are no more questions, then I request our Guru, Srimati Lalita Ganapati, to share her few words and close the session, please. Ma, you're on mute.
Sorry. Om Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Namaskaram. Vanakkam ellarkum. என்ன சொல்றதுன்னு தெரியல, எனக்கு இன்னைக்கு அவ்வளோ ஒரு சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு. First of all, I want to thanks சிவசங்கர் பாபு சார் அண்ட் பத்ரி சேஷாத்ரி சார். உங்களோட இவ்வளோ பிஸியான ஷெட்யூல் நடுவில் இந்த மாதிரி சின்ன சின்ன குழந்தைகளோட ப்ரெசன்டேஷன் பார்த்து நீங்கள் உங்களோட கருத்தெல்லாம் சொன்னதுக்கு வந்து நான் முதல்ல நூப்புர்லயா சார்பில் நான் ரொம்ப தேங்க்ஸ் சொல்லிக்கிறேன், நன்றி சொல்லிக்கிறேன். எனக்கும் கூட நிறைய இன்ஃபர்மேஷனாக இருந்தது அபவுட் த டெம்பிள்லாம். நான்லாம் இந்த மாதிரிலாம் பார்த்துருக்கேன்னு தெரியாது. ஸோ எனக்கு கூட ரொம்ப நிறைய இன்ஃபர்மேஷனாக இருந்தது. பசங்க ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் பண்ணிங்கெல்லாம் ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக இருந்தது. ஸோ அட்டன் பண்ண அத்தனை ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்கும் பேரண்ட்ஸ்க்கும் ஜூனியர் சீனியர்ஸ் எல்லாருக்கும் ரொம்ப தேங்க்ஸ். நிறைய இது மாதிரி நிறைய கற்றுக்கணும். உங்களோட சப்போர்ட்லாம் கண்டிப்பாக வேணும் சார். நீங்கள் எப்போ எந்த கோவில் இருந்தாலும் எனக்கு மெசேஜ் போடுங்க. என்னால் முடிஞ்ச அளவுக்கு நான் கண்டிப்பாக குழந்தைகளை கூட்டின்னு வரேன். ஸோ
மிக்க நன்றிமா. நீங்க வந்து ஆரம்பிச்சு வச்சீங்க. இப்ப இது வந்து ஓரளவுக்கு நல்ல அளவுக்கு வந்திருக்குது. இதுல இருந்து நம்ம இன்னும் அடுத்த அளவுக்கு எடுத்து போகலாம். இப்ப நம்ம தியரிட்டிக்கலா இப்படி, அதாவது இப்ப வந்து நம்ம படம் பார்த்து கதை சொல் மாதிரி கோயில் பார்த்து ஒரு 6 பேர் 8 பேர் கதை சொல்லிட்டாங்க. இப்ப நான் அதுல ஏகப்பட்ட சந்தேகத்தை கிளப்பி விட்டுருக்கோம். இப்ப நம்ம திருப்பி போய் அவங்க வந்து அதை பார்ப்பாங்க. This becomes an interesting iteration. This is how we should bring people. What they learn on themselves, it will stay in their mind for a long period. Okay. இப்ப இதனால நான் திருப்பி நான் கேள்வி கேட்டுக்கிட்டே தான். இந்த மாதிரி அப்பப்ப ஒரு கேள்வி கேட்டு அது ஒரு எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர் பண்ணேன்னா you will learn on your own. There is no need to go into history and other things. The moment you start exploring on why, other things will automatically fall in. Adan ennoda firm belief. Definitely I really appreciate your initiative and we are there to help you. Idukku piragu I will call with you. Probably we can meet and myself, Badri and others can visit your school. And we can also plan some of the field visits one of the times.
Definitely.
நீங்க வந்து sculptures பார்க்கறோம்னா மகாபலிபுரம் கூட்டு போலாம். Okay. And we can analyze from the actual training you have done. Padma Madam used to take a lot of students from her headquarters near Mahabalipuram to this one. I also applied for one such program. Unfortunately, I couldn't join it. And I would have learned so many things from them. And Padma Subramaniam and her senior disciplines and everybody, they were planning to go for one trip for discussing the sculptures, how they are there, and then see how they have represented. So at least, even though not at that length, with you two people there, definitely we can take the students out to Mahabalipuram and see a different kind of an interpretation.
கண்டிப்பா
இது கொஞ்சம் வெயில் கொஞ்சம் குறையட்டும். We can definitely do something. That will be an interesting thing. Okay?
Definitely. Awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ma. Thanks a lot. The voice is breaking.
It's clear now.
So see, now all the seniors are speaking. Okay, I want somebody from the students, 1 or 2 people, to give their views on how was this program? Was it useful? Do you want something else? Was it to your expectation? 1 or 2 students. Randomly you can say. Just two words.
I like this program. I normally like history more than any other language. It was so useful for me, sir. Since I was already researching on Tamil Nadu at school, it's serious. It's so useful for me, sir.
Thank you. So when you research, you always research with questions. Don't take it up. History, ask history. So you do your own mathematics of plotting 2 or 3 events and see whether these events tally. Okay. Adhu mari pannana, use it like how detectives do. So take some 4 scenarios. இப்ப இது ஷெர்லாக் ஹோம்ஸ் என்ன பண்ணுவாருன்னா 4 டிஃபரெண்ட் இதை வந்து அந்த சீக்வன்ஸ் போட்டு பார்த்து இங்க ஏதோ இடிக்குது. That is how we should do. You have all the information. and this is left to your interpretation. That is what you can contribute. Any other views? Ramya, what about you?
Great question. I presented first, and I could see how great the others presented as well. Even our class presentations are like this, and it was just wonderful to see about other temples and how they had presented it, and how they observe the temples, like you said, other people mentioned. They all have different views of viewing a temple, and I could see that from after you mentioned it, I could see that how other people see the temple in other way than I do. It is very informative, and I hope to keep learning about this.
Good.
Thank you.
Very
Good observation.
Cool.
All right.
Anybody else? Otherwise, we can
Yes, Shweta, you've raised your hand, Shweta.
Yes, Akka, yeah, this session was really informative and so nice to hear from sir, a lot of information. And I want to tell that especially this class, and 1 year learn an interest one actually. Because in the class நான் கோவில் போகும்போது நான் அந்த அளவுக்கு ஸ்கல்ப்சர்ஸ் அப்சர்வ் பண்ண மாட்டேன். பட் இப்போ நான் எங்க போனாலுமே அட்லீஸ்ட் ஒரு ஃபியூ செகண்ட்ஸ் ஆச்சு நான் அதை பார்த்து என்னன்னு நான் பண்றேன். அந்த that 1% of that interest provoked, and yeah, that's really nice. And நிறைய கத்துட்டேன், ஸ்கூல்ல கத்துக்காதெல்லாம் கத்துட்டேன். I learned, yeah, so it's really nice, this class. Broad thinking on the so yeah, that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Good. So one is learning on your own. When you discuss with your peers, your classmates and friends, you get validation of the views, and you get a different variation of the views. That's what she was saying, Ramya was saying. So please discuss among yourself. Okay, instead of discussing Rajini and Kamal, spend 15 minutes on discussing this. That will be a very, very interesting story.
Yes,
okay?
Absolutely.
Right. Good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah, I had an enjoyable evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. Once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. I'll stop the recording.